but to take some sort of action. And I give the example a lot of the times. If I'm out with my family and I see a bank being robbed, is it reasonable for me to charge into the bank, announce my office as a police officer, and try to take those bank robbers down? I don't know. It's just dependent on the situation. But at the very least, you're trained to recognize what's going on, and you need to alert the proper authorities. And it's expected that you alert the proper authorities to respond to something like that example I just gave.
Okay, so the idea that is being raised and brought up in this press conference today with Lori Lightfoot was, should police officers be licensed? The difference there would be an expiration date, and there would have to be some form of recertification. It is true that Chicago police officers, unless they are changing jobs or getting certified for other purposes other than their basic training, if they don't do any of that, they don't really get retrained anywhere in their career necessarily.
Well, that was true until we were put under this consent decree. So you talk to a lot of cops on the job who have been on the job for a long time, where they would tell you almost verbatim, hey, I went through the academy, and from that point on, I never saw another lick of training in my life. Mm-hmm. Now, with that being said, training is a massive, massive emphasis in the consent decree, as well it should be, because that's unacceptable that you can go through a 20-year career and never step foot back in the police academy to get updates on training. We see how quickly society moves and changes. I mean, you have to keep training these officers so that they can face whatever issues they're dealing with on the street. So the consent decree, and really I encourage people to look at the consent decree as public record, and furthermore, I encourage people to look at the Chicago Police Department general orders and directives. It's all public record. It's all online. You can see the stuff that we're implementing, and the reality is that a lot of the stuff that people want us to implement, that they see as crucial reforms, they're already being implemented and have already been implemented. It's just a matter of it's a miscommunication and, quite frankly, ignorance on some people's part, because they don't want to do the legwork to actually understand the organization that they so badly want to reform.
Right. That's an excellent point. Do you think that there will be a moment where Chicago cops are going to have to go through some sort of recertification and relicensing, or however people want to actually couch that, every 4 years, 6 years, 10 years? What would you think would be fair there? Everybody who throws out these ideas, everybody has to remember, we're under a federal consent decree. They dictate what we're doing going forward until we meet the criteria to get lifted from that consent decree. So the consent decree right now for the rollout for the next subsequent years mandates that officers have 20, 40, 60, 70, 80, however many hours of continued, basically education, continued training, meaning you have to go to the academy or whatever training site, and you need to get trained a certain amount of hours on a given year. So, I don't see the difference between that and then getting recertified. I don't know what recertified would entail. I mean, we qualify with our firearms every year. We get de-escalation training every year. We get up-to-date training every year, and it's getting more and more and more, as well it should. All right. Thank you, John, for your service to Chicago. I appreciate that.
And thanks, Will. Thanks for being a voice of reason through these crazy times. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. I don't know if I quite qualify as that, but I certainly thought about going crazy. Chose not to so far. All right, coming up, Tuesdays with Tom. Tom Skilling is going to join us on the other side, but right now, Kim Gordon is live in the Northwestern Medicine Newsroom.
82 degrees at 3:30. Good afternoon. I'm Kim Gordon. The news is not sponsored this hour. Mayor Lightfoot's looking at all the options when it comes to dealing with the city's $700 million budget shortfall.
Golf is set to honor the memory of George Floyd when the PGA Tour gets back underway Thursday.
And in business, the coronavirus has eliminated some jobs but invented some new ones. WGN Traffic, here's Lauren Lapka.
And this report is sponsored by the Illinois Department of Transportation. Weather definitely starting to impact traffic. An accident outbound on the Bishop Ford is blocking 2 left lanes at Sibley. Traffic is solid from 130th. It's 35 minutes from the Dan Ryan to I-80-94. On I-80-94 East, a crash is blocking 2 left lanes at Martin Luther King Drive. Also seeing a crash inbound on the Kennedy. That's blocking 2 left lanes at Lake. Outbound, there's There's a crash on the right shoulder at Lawrence. Both sides are a half-hour trip. Eisenhower stop and go outbound between Sacramento and Des Plaines. It's 38 minutes to 390. There's an accident on I-55 North that's partially blocking the exit ramp at Weber. Outbound Stevenson is congested between State and Cicero. It's 33 minutes to Veterans Memorial. And traffic is heavy outbound on the Dan Ryan. The entire stretch, it's 36 minutes out to 95th. Driving, biking, or walking responsibly near roadways really is a matter of life or death. To learn more or share the story of a lost loved one, go to lifeordeathillinois.com. I'm Lauren Lopka from the IDOT Traffic Center, reminding you to drive responsibly. It really is a matter of life or death.
The news is next, but first, Tom Skilling's forecast from the Permaseal Weather Center. We have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 3:50 for Cook and DuPage counties. Again, a severe thunderstorm warning for Cook and DuPage County until 3:50. Otherwise, tonight, showers and thunderstorms likely, windy, lows near 70. Tomorrow, a 40% chance of rain, windy, high near 80. And Thursday, mostly sunny. We'll see highs in the upper 70s. The city's 2020 budget is facing a $700 million shortfall due to the pandemic. Mayor Lightfoot says she's looking at putting off projects and other options, but
raising property taxes and layoffs have to remain on the table. Those are the last choices and tools that I want to use, but I can't take any of them off the table.
She says the city has lost all types of revenue streams, including amusement, hotels, parking, and hotel and restaurant taxes. The state announcing today 797 new coronavirus cases and 95 additional deaths. The total number of deaths in the state now over 6,000. Indiana looking to boost their revenue. Casinos are preparing to reopen.
The Indiana Gaming Commission has announced 13 commercial casinos in the state, including 5 gaming facilities in Northwest Indiana, can reopen June 15th. However, it is up to the casino properties to decide whether they'll open, and local governments can impose their own restrictions. The casinos will have to comply with new rules and regulations to limit the spread of the virus, including machines and tables being spread out, no floor beverage service or buffets, and casino employees will have to undergo daily health screenings. Ryan Burrow, WGN News.
In Houston, funeral service just wrapping up for George Floyd 2 weeks after his fatal encounter with a Minneapolis police officer. Ivy McGregor spoke at the service.
I leave with you one word, his final word, which was breathe. And breathe is not passive. No, sir. No, ma'am. Breathe is active. Breathe is inhale and exhale. Breathe is to be alive.
Former Vice President Joe Biden urging George Floyd's family to turn his death into a call to change the world. The presumptive Democratic presidential nominee sent a video of today's memorial service. He called for racial justice, listening, and healing in America. Floyd will be buried next to his mother. A lawsuit's been filed by 2 people who claim police used excessive force during an incident caught on video at the Brickyard Mall on the Northwest Side during the looting and protest. Lysandra Collins is one of the alleged victims.
An officer was hitting me forcefully as he tried to take my phone from me repeatedly while I was recording. He tried to snatch it from me. I didn't let go. He hit me twice. He hit me here on my arm, on my hand, on my leg. I have 2 baton marks on my leg, and I also have pictures that I took. They're like purple bruises now in the shape of a baton.
The 2 officers have been suspended. The incident is being investigated by the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. COVID-19 may have eliminated some jobs, but it's created a demand for others.
With Americans going back to the office, there's a growing need for some new kinds of employees.
Jobs that were much smaller in scale pre-COVID that are much more prominent.
Patrick Burrell, CEO of staffing provider True Blue, says these are 2 of those jobs.
Health and safety stewards who provide deep cleaning, ongoing sanitization for businesses. Health monitors that do temperature checks of people that are entering a building to determine if someone's sick.
He says safety protocols won't be going away anytime soon after COVID. Daria Albinger, ABC News.
And just another quick weather update. We now have a severe thunderstorm warning for Lake County and eastern McHenry County until 4:15. The severe thunderstorm warning still in effect for DuPage and Cook County until 3:45. I'm Kim, WGN Sports now. Sorry, Andy Mazer.
That's all right. The PGA Tour is going to honor the memory of George Floyd by leaving the 8:46 a.m. tee time vacant this week at the Colonial, part of a tribute to Floyd and also to support efforts to end racial and social injustice. Commissioner Jay Monahan says the tour will have a moment of silence and reflection at 8:46 a.m. in each of the 4 rounds of the Charles Schwab Challenge. Enough with the Zoom calls already. That's the feeling of Bears head coach Matt Nagy. He's cutting the Bears offseason program short. Nagy says he wants his players to focus on training without having to worry about video conferencing 4 days a week. The team will hold its final virtual meeting coming up on Thursday. A Major League Baseball official says there needs to be an agreement by tomorrow in order to implement a new proposal for a 76-game regular season, followed by expanded playoffs, including as many as 16 teams. Dan Hallam set that time frame in a letter to negotiators for players' unions. The plan would guarantee 50% of players' prorated salaries over the regular season. One thing that's definitely happening in baseball, the amateur draft taking place tomorrow, a greatly reduced draft, down to just 5 rounds from the usual 40. The White Sox pick number 11. The Cubs will select at number 16. And just announced, NASCAR will allow a limited number of fans at upcoming races coming up in Florida and in Alabama. On the home of the Blackhawks, Northwestern Wildcats, and White Sox baseball, Mandy Mazer, WGN Sports.
Your Money on WGN, sponsored by T-Mobile for Business. Visit T-MobileForBusiness.com. The Dow closed down 300 points today. NASDAQ up 29. The S&P 500 down 25 points. I'm Kim Gordon on Chicago's very own 720 WGN.
T-Mobile and Sprint are joining forces to build a network that will cover more offices and employees across the country. You'll get the largest and most reliable network at an unbeatable price. Visit T-MobileForBusiness.com to learn more.
At Midwestern University, healthcare education is what they do. Their campus in Downers Grove features 6 colleges and 12 degree programs. Here you'll benefit from hands-on training, expert faculty mentors, and patient-focused programs. You'll also learn side-by-side with students in other health professions, modeling the team approach to the 21st century healthcare practice. Learn more about their programs at midwestern.edu. That's midwestern.edu. Midwestern University, tomorrow's healthcare team.
Did you know almost 40% of automobile recalls go unrepaired? That's not safe. Check DriveChicago.com to see if your car has an open recall. Then no matter where you bought it, schedule an appointment with a new car dealer for a free repair. Don't wait. Do it today.
What a perfect day to have Tuesdays with Tom. Tom Skilling joins us, brought to us by Permaseal Basement Systems. Big change in the weather because of the storm that came up through New Orleans. It's kind of like a hurricane, tropical storm kind of a deal named Cristobal. What's going on with it?
Well, its remnants are coming north, and it's on an interesting track. You know, they did an interesting piece in the Tribune today tracking 16 tropical systems or their remnants that have come up since we've been keeping records back in the 1800s. One of them, interestingly, was the Great Galveston Hurricane in 1900, which to this day remains the country's most deadly natural disaster. Cristobal is not in that category, but these tropical systems have a makeup all their own. They come with incredible amounts of moisture. Their rains fall in a rather select corridor, but, on the periphery of that, you can get some heavy downpours. We've got as much moisture in the air as we ever get up in this area, and that's because of the source region of this storm, which went ashore in southeast Louisiana about 5:10 on Sunday evening, produced a storm surge down there, lots of waves all the way from the Galveston breakwall to the west coast of Florida, and flooded the shorelines of Louisiana, did some terrible damage to the dunes there, which, they're saying with an active hurricane season coming, this is not a good thing. And what it's doing is it's flooded roads in Missouri as it's come northward. We look for its showers to come in here. Fortunately, the thing is moving at a pretty good pace, but there could be a couple of these thunderstorms and showers that come up with Cristobal's remnants that could produce some pretty good downpours around here. We're thinking in terms of 0.6 of an inch to 1.4 inches is a general estimate of rainfalls around here, but 1 or 2 of these things could produce a little bit more. And there'll be a lot of wind. We'll have wind gusts of 40, even 45 miles an hour locking in with this system.
So is this going to be a windy storm during the rain, or is the wind field coming in tomorrow after the rain?
Well, both in a way, but what's happening, this thing is converting to a non-tropical system, so it'll have backside winds that keep it pretty breezy around here tomorrow, Wednesday, and even Thursday will be fairly breezy. But the embedded thunderstorms on the front end of this thing in that 4 to 10 p.m. time range, if we're going to get gusty winds in any part of the area with a thunderstorm, that'll be the period where that happens. And the winds otherwise will be non-thunderstorm related, just part of this weather system.
Why do we think this is going to be such an active hurricane season?
A lot of reasons for that. One, the Atlantic, much of the Atlantic is running warmer than average. And hurricanes, unlike storms up here that are the result of cold air next to warm air, the clash of air masses, hurricanes derive their energy from the evaporation and condensation of warm seawater. It's got to be at least 80 degrees, the water over which these things form, and the ocean temps are running warm in the Gulf of Mexico and a big swath of the Atlantic. Also, we've got a La Nina developing on the other side of the South America, out over the equatorial Pacific. It's interesting. That is a long way from the Atlantic basin where, hurricanes that affect the United States occur and form. But what it does when you get a La Nina in the Pacific, it lightens the upper winds that would shear developing tropical systems apart, and therefore it produces a more favorable environment for these storms to develop. And there is also a very wet breed of weather system coming off Africa. And those things are often at the core of these hurricane systems. So at any rate, you've got those three factors at work, Ro: lighter wind shear, warmer ocean temperatures, active series of wet systems coming off Africa. And those are the kinds of things these forecasters of the general character of a hurricane season look at.
Tom, I can never remember what is better for us. Is it La Nina or El Nino?
It's interesting. Both have impacts on us and a good part of the world. El Nino probably affects more of the world's weather than any other coupled ocean atmosphere event. But El Nino is the warm counterpart. La Nina that we're going into is there's a phase that runs every 3 to 7 years out in the equatorial Pacific. It kind of flop back and forth. El Ninos many times bring us mild winters, but not all of them. And in fact, we've had El Ninos that have not at all behaved like some in the past. So the assumption you're automatically going to have a warm, snowless winter because you have an El Nino, it hasn't been holding as much water in recent years. But La Nina tends to produce active severe storm seasons down along the Gulf Coast and ultimately up into the parts of the center of the country. So that's an interesting impact it has on our weather.
Okay, Tom, stay right there. We'll be right back. More about this storm that's coming through Chicago and what it's going to look like afterwards. But first, let's check the roads and the streets. Here's Lauren Lapka.
An accident outbound on the Bishop Ford is still blocking 2 left lanes at Sibley. Traffic now solid from 115th. It's 45 minutes from the Dan Ryan to I-80-94. On I-80-94 East, a crash is blocking 2 left lanes at Martin Luther King Drive. There is also a crash on the westbound side in the left lane near I-65. And southbound on the Tri-State, a fallen road sign is blocking the right lane at Bensonville Bridge. That being said, seeing reports of a lot of fallen trees and power cables, so be careful out there. I'm Lauren Lapka from the IDOT Traffic Center, reminding you to drive responsibly. It really is a matter of life or death.
With the recent rains and wet weather, Permaseal is working very hard to help every homeowner in Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana area. But we need your help. Hi, I'm Roy Spencer, president of Permaseal Basement Systems. We're hiring in all departments, especially sales, customer service, and installation. We're looking for people with a great work ethic, who have ambition, a positive attitude, want to learn new skills, and have a desire to make the world a better place. Sound like you? Then go to permaseal.net/careers to apply today. No experience needed. We will teach you to become an expert in waterproofing and foundation repairs. Even if you're not presently looking for another job, I'd encourage you to consider working for Permaseal. We offer great training, year-round work, tremendous growth opportunities, and a great, fun work environment. To apply, go to permaseal.net/careers. If you're looking for a career change or a dry basement, you know who to call. Permaseal. 800-421-7325 or go to permaseal.net.
Permaseal. deal. Hey there, homeowners. Have you had that annoying experience of low water pressure in the shower where you hardly had enough pressure to wash the shampoo out of your hair? You know, the same shower that you have to yell, "Don't flush the toilet, I'm in the shower." Don't put up with this anymore. It's time to get rid of those old rusty corroded pipes and get brand new PEX or copper pipes. Repipe Specialist does repiping unlike anyone else. It's all they do. They've been giving customers great water pressure, clean, clear water, and a pipe leak-free home for over 27 years, serving over 50,000 customers. All in just 1 to 2 days at half the cost of a plumber with a lifetime guarantee. Everyone deserves great water pressure and no more rusty-colored water or pipe leaks. Call us today for your free in-home estimate customized for your home. We'll even take 20% off our already low price when you call us today. Repipe Specialists. 800-216-0195. 800-216-0195. That's 800-216-0195.
We're back with Tom Skilling. Tuesdays with Tom. We're talking about these storms that are moving through, and we're now in a La Nina pattern, which is different from the El Nino pattern. And Tom was just telling us the difference, and I'm still confused. But during the break, he told me an amazing story about why they call it El Nino.
It's interesting. There's a big fish kill that goes on when that takes place along the west coast of South America. And in fact, El Nino derives its name from the Christ child, and the reason locals in South America named the event this fish kill that they were witnessing El Nino. They didn't quite understand what was going on, but they knew the air was filled with the stench of rotting fish around Christmas time when El Nino ran. And so that was the name attached to this fish kill. And scientists have since gone on to realize that there's a very profound linkage between the ocean and the atmosphere that is taking place. So it's not just the fish kill, you're changing wind patterns all around the planet. And that's how, something going on in the equatorial waters off South America can affect our weather up here in North America and even over into Europe.
So that means there's going to be a lot of active weather this summer season, more hurricanes than expected, as you mentioned before. How's it going to affect our summer specifically?
Well, it's interesting, and this is kind of my own sense of things. When you get more tropical systems to develop in the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic, these things have the way of, they vet air out of the top of the system, all the showers and thunderstorms that develop with these tropical systems. This air then migrates at the high levels away from these storms and sinks. And often the sinking motion goes on, over the continental United States. That leads to compressional warming. And so I think it kind of increases your chance of a warmer than average summer. Because, look at yesterday. We had 90-degree temperatures. Part of the reason that happened was because of this Cristobal and all the air that was being vented out the top of it. You see this all the time when hurricanes are approaching the country. All of a sudden, you get these record high temperatures that start showing up hundreds of miles ahead of these storms over the United States in places that they normally don't have readings so warm. And a lot of that is the air sinking that's been vented out the top of these tropical systems. So one impact on our area might be that we have more frequent instances of warm weather. We'll see if that works out. There are a lot of factors that go into the character of a summer, like soil moisture. We've had a lot of rain. If the soil's wet, that tends to retard summer warming, because what happens is when you warm over it, you put moisture back in the air, clouds form, showers and thunderstorms form, even if not overhead, nearby, and they mix down cooler air, and that tempers the heat. So soil moisture can cancel out some of your warm season warming. But if you add to that active weather in the tropics, it's been my experience that we have more frequent spells of warm weather around here and even hot weather. So let's see if that works out. That's one possible outcome of this in our area.
Tom, I know you like to brag about all the models that you know, the European models, the North American models. Do any of those models indicate that there's going to be triple digits in the next couple of weeks?
No, not at this point. But I'll be honest with you, Ro. You look more at these 2-week forecasts that we look at and even the 30-day predictions. In fact, we run some of these models out to 45 days now. You don't, at that time range, look at day-to-day features they're predicting. You look more at, just like you do with climate models, you look at trends that are being indicated. And so I don't see anything near 100-degree temps. But that doesn't mean they aren't out there. It just means we're not identifying them yet. We did have one of our U.S. models out in the range of about 2 weeks. A couple of runs in the last couple of days have kicked out mid to upper 90s in some areas. Now, that may be overdone. What we generally do is to blend these models. You don't look at one, you look at a group of them, and you average them out, because studies have shown that leads to a more accurate forecast than looking at just one prediction from one model. But the fact that, one of these models is showing that kind of heat is kind of interesting. It's not 100, but it does look like not this weekend. This weekend will be cool, but the following weekend might be a warm one. So we'll see if that holds up.
But this time of year, lake temperature tends to keep those temperatures down anyway, doesn't it?
What's interesting? The Great Lakes Environmental Research Lab noted just the other day that the lake temperature is actually running above normal for this time of the year, which is quite interesting. But as we've often discussed here, Ro, until you warm this lake up, say beyond mid-June, it still has a cooling effect on the nearby landmass, even though it itself may be running a little bit above normal.
Lake levels still look really high. Is that just my imagination, or are they?
Still solidly in record territory. Lake Michigan is running 5 inches higher than any previous June on official records going back to 1918. And this is the sixth consecutive month that's gone on. It all started back in December, and every single month has set a new record for each respective month in terms of lake level. So anybody who's visited our beaches and watches how much of them disappear every time we have a sustained north to northeast wind knows, and looks at the erosion and the damage that's been done in some of our shoreline, knows that's the case.
So once the storm's out of the way, what's it going to look like for the next couple of days?
Well, there's cool weather coming in. Not right away. The temperatures tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday will actually be pretty nice. They'll be in the mid to upper 70s. Tomorrow might even get into the low 80s away from the water. But and even up to the water, because the winds are going to be blowing westerly tomorrow, but the winds go northeast in the afternoon by Friday. And then for the weekend, they blow from the east off the water. So the weekend will be cool. So we're talking like tomorrow, 80 to 82, probably about 78 thereabouts on Thursday and Friday, and then down around 70 degrees on Saturday and Sunday with 60s at the lakeshore. But then we begin to warm up, and by the middle and end of next week, it's looking pretty warm, in fact, hot. So we may have 90-degree temperatures a week from this weekend if that line of reasoning holds up.
Call me crazy, but I love a summer that's got a lot of temperatures in the 90s.
Look, we'll get 90s. We've got 3 of them on the books. That's more than we had by this time last year. And, a typical summer, we'll see about 17 90s at O'Hare and an average of about 23 at Midway. So just assuming that this summer is above normal on temperature, which it may well be, we ought to see numbers beyond those, you would think, during the summer months. One thing I've noticed, bro, and it's interesting, and this may be, interestingly enough, it seems counterintuitive. It may be a product of the warming environment we're in. We haven't had as many of these sustained 90-degree spells. The summer temperatures have been warmer than those several decades back, but a lot of the warming is occurring at night, not during the day. And these spells of 90 and even 100-degree temperatures have been fewer and farther between than has been the case in the past. And I think a lot of that is because of the increasing moisture. We go into these summers with wet springs and wet soils, and that tends to lead to more summertime cloud cover and showers that have a cooling effect. So it kind of snips the top off of the hottest days. The general thinking now is there are slight odds toward an above normal summer and one that may be above normal in terms of precipitation overall. So that's the current thinking.
But since we're starting early in hurricane season, that can throw a lot of curveballs into our weather up here.
Yeah, because make no mistake about it, these systems, when they develop, it's one of the ironies of hurricanes, which are the biggest winds on Earth, and tropical cyclones, typhoons or hurricanes in the Western Pacific. They're called cyclones over in the Indian Ocean and around Australia, and also south of the equator in the Pacific. All the same storm. They all have eyes. They're all structured the same way. These storms, once they develop, so radically affect the environment within which they're occurring. Partly because of the fact that all this air, that's venting out of the tops of these organized bands of thunderstorms, which is what these hurricanes and typhoons are, they cause high pressure to form around the periphery, and that can change if they come north and into the mid-latitudes, jet stream patterns, and create blocking patterns that slow everything down. So there is truth to the fact that when you've got a hurricane, a vigorous hurricane going somewhere in the Atlantic or the Gulf of Mexico or the Caribbean, that can start slowing down lower 48 weather movement, and therefore you get locked into the pattern that you're in. And so an active season would kind of suggest you're going to have more blocking patterns, and therefore periods in which we get stuck in more prolonged periods of weather, no matter what it might be, whether it's wet or hot, or, it looks like slows things down a little bit.
That's Tom Skilling. You can see him on the WGN-TV news at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 13 o'clock. I don't know. He's on all the time.
All right, bro. You take care.
You too, my friend. We got news from the Northwestern Medicine Newsroom coming your way in 2 minutes.
Chicago's very own WGN.
If you've got knee pain, go to the Joint Relief Institute. Even now, the Joint Relief Institute is seeing patients regularly. This quick, pain-free, non-surgical procedure is not only allowed, it's always been something to consider before or instead of knee replacement. So what do you know? Maybe you could go for that socially distanced walk right now. Because here's what they do at the Joint Relief Institute. With digital imaging, they see where your knee has deteriorated. They put a lubricant into that precise spot. They're expert at this, It's all they do. And when you walk in, you'll be greeted by a positive, happy, encouraging group of people because they know you're going to walk out feeling better. But first, you got to walk in. And again, they are seeing patients. Online, find them at jointreliefinstitute.com. In person, they're in Oak Brook and Orland Park. On the phone, same phone number for both locations, 708-888-0000, 708-888-0000, as in zero pain.
MegaPros are proud to be available to help you in any way you might need, in or around your home. You can trust MegaPros to be safe, clean, and careful at all times. Any questions answered fast and friendly by your MegaPros. Call 847-658-8989 or go to megapros.com.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents
And Doug.
Breathe out and repeat after me. Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Your bird is eating my candles.
Your bird is eating my candles.
No, seriously, he's making a mess.
No, seriously, he's...
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Get a customized quote at libertymutual.com.
I've always wanted to learn another language, so I decided to give Babbel a try, and I really like the teaching method of the app. I started with the beginner lesson on Babbel, and soon you're putting words into a conversation. Each lesson takes about 10 to 15 minutes, and they're all really different, which keeps things interesting. I can't wait to use my Spanish skills in real life. Dos cervezas, por favor.
Now try Babbel free. Just go to Babbel.com or download the Babbel app. That's BABBEL.com.
Serving the great Midwest from Chicago, this is WGN at AM 720 on your radio and on smart devices anywhere just by saying play WGN radio on TuneIn.
WGN Chicago.
A Nexstar Media Group station.
75 degrees at 4 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Kim Gordon. The news is sponsored by Permaseal Basement Systems. The state hits another grim coronavirus milestone and some severe weather moving through the area.
Matt Nagy says no more Zooms as the Bears finish their offseason programs early.
And in business, Chicago's pot shops have reopened. WGN Traffic, here's Lauren Lapka.
And this report is sponsored by Window Works. There are some slick roads out there. A crash on I-65 North is blocking two right lanes near 61st and the right southbound lane. Inbound Kennedy is backed up from Fullerton. It's 33 from O'Hare. Eisenhower is stop and go outbound between Damon and First. It's 41 minutes to 390. Outbound Stevenson is congested between Ashland and Pulaski. Looking at 40 minutes to head out to Veterans Memorial. Traffic also heavy outbound on the Dan Ryan. The entire stretch, it's 33 minutes to 95th. Outbound Bishop Ford is jammed from Stony Island. It's 34 minutes from the Rhine to I-80 94. And southbound on the Tri-State, a fallen road sign is blocking the right lane at Bensonville Bridge. Also seeing a lot of reports of fallen trees and power cables across the area. With over 1,000 five-star Google reviews, Window Works is your easy choice to replace your windows. Now take 60% off labor, no money down, no interest, no payments until 2022. Visit mywindowworks.com for a down-to-the-penny price. I'm Lauren Lapka from the IDOT Traffic Center, reminding you to drive responsibly. It really is a matter of life or death.
The news is next, but first the WGN forecast. We have a severe thunderstorm warning still in effect for Lake and McHenry counties until 4:15 this afternoon. Again, that's a severe thunderstorm warning for Lake and McHenry counties until 4:15. And now with the rest of the forecast, here's meteorologist Demetrius Ivory.
The tropical system will continue to bring us showers and storms for this overnight. The low temperature down into the mid-70s. We'll see wind gusts around 50 miles per hour. Wind advisory remains in effect. For Wednesday, a chance for showers and storms mainly early in the day. It's going to be breezy once again, wind gusts to around 30 miles per hour. Tomorrow's high temperature around 80. Wednesday night, we'll see rain pulling out of the area, mostly cloudy and clearing up late, the low temperature into the upper 50s. On Thursday, sunshine returns. The high temperature climbs to right around 80. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, cooler conditions. Friday, we'll see mostly sunny skies, high temperature of 79. Saturday, we're up into the mid-60s, cooler than normal. And Sunday, we climb to nearly 70. I'm WGN meteorologist Demetrius Ivory.
Coronavirus deaths in Illinois surpassed 6,000 today. The Illinois Department of Public Health announcing 95 additional deaths for a statewide death toll that now stands at 6,018. There are also 797 new coronavirus cases, which pushes the statewide total to over 129,000. Mayor Lightfoot sidestepping calls today for a defunding of Chicago police, saying reforms are underway in the department. However, she's recommending that police officers be licensed.
If I go get a haircut, the barber is licensed by the state. There's a uniformity in the professionalism, and then they have to recertify themselves on a regular basis. Why wouldn't we have that for police officers?
She says it's an idea that must be discussed and debated. The mayor of Joliet is defending his actions after getting into a scuffle with protesters at a rally last week in a city. Mayor Bob Odenkirk, who's white, is seen grabbing 23-year-old Victor Williams Jr., who is black, by his collar and walking him backward to a police vehicle. He says people have questioned why the mayor was at the protest in the first place.
It was a personal choice I made based on my willingness to support the peaceful protest that had just taken place and support the men and women of the Joliet Police and Fire Departments.
He hopes there's more video to show what happened in the moments before. State police are investigating the incident. George Floyd has been eulogized in his hometown of Houston.
Much as a worldwide call to action, the death of George Floyd is a family tragedy. Terrence Floyd.
I just want to say to him, I love you, and I thank God for giving me my own personal Superman. God bless you all.
In his final moments, George Floyd was captured pleading to his mother. Today, he's being buried next to her. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Houston.
No bail today for a man accused of firing at a Chicago police officer and hitting his protective vest during a domestic disturbance on Monday night in the South Austin neighborhood. Lavelle Polk is charged with attempted murder and unlawful use of a weapon by someone on parole. Chicago's marijuana shops began to reopen today after being closed indefinitely due to violence.
Every dispensary in Chicago closed a week ago to clean up after looting and vandalism gripped the city. At Sunnyside and River North, looters shattered windows but didn't gain access to the vault where cannabis is stored, though it had already been moved to a secure location. Now it is welcoming customers again, and every day from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. James Sears, WGN News.
And now with WGN Community Corners, here's Ryan Burrow.
Outside of Gary City Hall is a 10-foot statue of former Mayor Richard Gordon Hatcher, one of the first black mayors of a major U.S. city. He was 34 years old when he took office in 1967. Hatcher served as an advisor to the Johnson and Carter administrations on issues of civil rights and urban policy. He also chaired Reverend Jesse Jackson's presidential campaigns in 1984 and 1988. Hatcher died in December, 2 months after the statue was unveiled. I'm Ryan Burrow with Community Corners on WGN Radio.
WGN Sports, here's Andy Mazer.
Well, the Bears are holding their final virtual meeting coming up Thursday, a week and a half ahead of schedule. Coach Matt Nagy says 9 weeks of online meetings are enough.
This is going to give our players and our coaches a chance to really, first of all, the players can focus on training. It's going to be very important. That's the one part that's been, more difficult is we're not all together. So now they get to really not worry about meetings so much Monday through Thursday, but they can really focus on their bodies and train and come into training camp really prepared.
Hallis Hall is still closed because of the coronavirus, and the team is hoping to begin that training camp late in July. No movement in talks between Major League Baseball and the Players Association on the latest proposal by the league. MLB sent a new offer to the players for a 76-game schedule and expanded playoffs. Players not in favor, saying the salary cuts will be in effect that will be the same as before. The league would like to hear from the MLBPA by tomorrow. One thing that will be happening in baseball is the amateur draft starting tomorrow. A greatly reduced draft down to just 5 rounds from the usual 40. The White Sox pick number 11, and the Cubs will select at number 16. PGA Tour is leaving the 8:46 a.m. tee time vacant this week at the Colonial, part of a tribute to George Floyd and to support efforts to end racial and social injustice. NASCAR will allow a limited number of fans at upcoming races in Florida and Alabama. The plan for the Homestead Miami Speedway this Sunday is to allow up to 1,000 South Florida service members to attend the Cup Series race. Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama will allow up to 5,000 guests in the front stretch grandstands for the June 21st race. And believe it or not, it was 10 years ago today when Patrick Kane scored a crazy overtime goal in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final to give the Blackhawks their first Stanley Cup in 49 years. They beat the Flyers 4-2 in that series. On the home of the Blackhawks, Northwestern Wildcats, and White Sox baseball, Andy Mazer, WGN Sports.
Your money on WGN. The Dow closed down 300 points today. NASDAQ up 29. The S&P 500 down 25 points. I'm Kim Gordon on Chicago's very own 720 WGN.
Make sure you breathe clean, healthy air. Green Tea is now offering an in-depth total home disinfectant service.
Service to a Green Tea.
Hi, this is Tonya Khoury from my family business, Green Tea Air Duct Cleaning. Our crews are bonded Green Tea employees you can trust in your home. They'll clean your intakes and returns of dust, mold, and allergens. You'll breathe fresh, healthy air.
800-5 Green Tea.
And now, for a limited time, get our air duct cleaning special, only $97. Yes, our experienced staff will thoroughly clean your air ducts for just $97. Plus, our 100% satisfaction Green Tea guarantee. Call Green Tea now for details. 800-5 Green Tea.
Green Tea Services. Service to a Green Tea. 800-5 Green Tea.
Be sure to ask us about our in-depth total home disinfectant service. Call Green Tea now, 800-5 Green Tea, or greenteaservices.com.
Things are looking up, Chicagoland. With summer around the corner, it's time to get your annual air conditioning tune-up from Lindemann Chimney Heating and Cooling. For 50 years, Lindemann Chimney Heating and Cooling has been taking care of Chicagoland's finest homes like yours. Schedule that tune-up today at lindemann.com.
Switch to WOW Superfast Internet 200 for $44.99 per month with a safe, contact-free installation. Our techs will call in advance, leave equipment at your door, and talk you through the process. Switch to WOW today. Stay connected. Details at wowway.com.
Wow.
Now that Lala has been canceled, we're going to play one of my favorite game shows, which is Lala or Medical Condition. Lala Band or Medical Condition. We play it every year, and we'll be doing that coming up in just a few minutes. But first, let's talk to Tom Green, famed comedian, the man who basically changed television by punking people before there was even the punking. I mean, you created a whole other genre of television, Tom, and you're doing something very special called Drafts and Laughs Virtual Beer and Comedy Festival. Originally scheduled for this weekend, has been moved back 2 weekends to June 27th, and this is a really important thing because as a working comedian, you know the people who work in and around venues, whether it's stadiums or comedy clubs or restaurants with entertainment, whatever it happens to be, those people have gotten so completely screwed, like so many other people in this economy as a result of COVID-19. But they're probably going to be the last people to come back to work, right?
Yeah, it looks that way. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna try to do something digitally here, and I got approached by Drafts and Laughs to be involved, so I'm happy to do it. And I'm going to be, first of all, how you doing? Thanks for having me on. This is going to be it's going to be a lot of fun. We got to have some laughs. It's a crazy time, and I've been trying to find ways to keep myself busy from my isolation at home in Los Angeles. I've been building this TV studio in my house and interacting a lot on social media. And of course, like all comedians, I'm off the road right now, but I'm just trying to find a way to have some fun with this, and we're gonna have a good time. Plus, I love beer. I mean, you love beer, right?
Right. I mean, who does not love beer? One must love beer. Yeah. And so the idea here is, and it's a very cool idea, is you go and you pick up the beer, or you have it delivered to your house, and then you enjoy it while this whole thing is going on simultaneously, right? Is that the idea?
I mean, it's a good idea to drink beer while you're watching funny shows on the internet, for sure. Yeah, it's going to be a streaming show. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be live. I've built this TV studio in my house. When I say a TV studio, I did this before back in the early 2000s, and then I was kind of inspired to try to plug it all in again since I've been isolating at home and have a lot of extra time on my hands.
Mm-hmm.
So I plugged all these cameras in, and I take calls from people on the internet, and you can watch it on my YouTube channel now too. I'm actually doing this every day right now, leading up to this special show. But it's a lot of fun. So a lot of comedians are finding ways of doing things on social media and with live streaming platforms, and you can see so many of the top comedians of the world just at home doing really amazing stuff and having fun with the social media. So it's going to be an interesting show, and I'm looking forward to it. We're going to have fun.
It's got draftsandlaughs.com is where you go and you find all the details about when that's going to be coming on June 27th, 8 to 10 o'clock Chicago time. So, Tom, I've done the same thing. I've invested in cameras and lights and everything for my studio. I have an at-home radio studio that's converted now into both radio and television, and because you got to do it, we didn't know how long this is going to go on for, and so I do the TV hits from here and I do radio hits. And I went on Amazon to buy the equipment, and now, like my Amazon, the artificial intelligence of Amazon, sends me information about porn. Like, that's all it is. I think the assumption was everybody who was doing that was doing it so they could produce porn.
Oh, okay, yeah. So now you're on some sort of a list as like, a porn director. Well, that'll be cool. That should be interesting.
Yeah, well, the cameras, when you buy the cameras, they all show the Chinese they've got these Chinese cameras that are like a couple $100, but they're 4K, HD, whatever, and they have certain capabilities, and there's like low light, and then you can hold it with your hand, or you can put it like on the top of your head and all of that. And I'm like, oh, now I get it. Now I get what's going on here.
I also kind of see. I'm reading. I might be reading into this a little too much, and forgive me if I'm off base here. But just for fun, I'll say it. Yep. I love the fact that you come up with like a fake excuse for why porn's coming to the phone. It's really cool.
Thank you.
I'm just, by the way, you were searching for it and or thinking about it or talking about it with your friends.
Right.
Porn specifically. It's because you bought some quote cameras. I get it.
Yes.
Good trick. I like it. That's going to be convincing. I'm not buying.
Tom, I'm glad you saw right through that. I was just trying to explain that to all my friends. All right. Now, if people want to see this, it's draftsandlaughs.com. Again, it was originally scheduled for this weekend. It's coming up on June 27th, trying to help out people who work in the entertainment industry, not the entertainers, but the people who service the entertainment industry, whether they're working in restaurants or servers at stadiums or whatever it happens to be, because these are the people that probably are going to be out the longest. I know everybody's been trying to raise funds for all kinds of different things here for the last 3-4 months almost now. But this really is an important thing because it's such a huge part of the American economy that we don't really think that much about. You go to stadiums at any of the major cities, those people who are out selling beer or pretzels or whatever it happens to be, those are professional jobs. Those people work at all the stadiums. That's in some cases a career.
Well, yeah, comedy in many ways is it's a restaurant industry as well, right? Most comedy clubs are restaurants and bars, and we've all love getting out on the weekends and going out and socializing with other people and having a laugh with a bunch of people. And so, it's not just, like you said, not just the comedians that are out of work, but of course all the servers and the comedy clubs themselves. And so hopefully, these kinds of things. I've done a few charitable things now for there was another one called Laugh Aid that a lot of comedians did recently. And we're all just kind of hoping that things can get back to some sort of new type of normal sooner rather than later. And,
right.
I've got friends all over the country. I've been touring, every city and state in the U.S. I've been to over the last decade. And I've made so many great friends all over. I just want to wish everybody well out there and hope we can get through this relatively unscathed. But it's a tough time right now, for sure.
No question.
And laughter is important. That's why I really enjoy interacting on my social media anyways. Like, I think the producers of Drafts and Laughs saw that I'm doing my podcast. Like you have a radio show and a podcast. I have one called the Tom Green Podcast. And I've been calling and having radio interviews with so many, comedians and people in show business, and also just interesting people who do interesting things like shark researchers and UFO researchers and all sorts of funny and fun things. And it's just kind of a good way to kind of stay positive and try to keep up some humor in this time with my followers and things like that. So.
All right. Well, excellent. Tom Green, thank you so much for being with us, and good luck on this Drafts and Laughs. It's going to be Friday, June 27th. Just go to draftsandlaughs.com for all the information, how you can pick up the beer.
And get beer. Go get some Budweiser, right? Get your Budweisers. I think Budweiser is part of putting this whole thing on. So
yes, I think they are. I'm glad you got the plug in because they'd be very mad if we didn't do that. All right, Tom, appreciate it, my friend. Thanks very much for being with us. And remember, It's the camera. I bought the camera. That's the problem. That's what I was doing.
That's it. That's the ticket, right? The great John Lovitz would say. Yeah, no, absolutely. Enjoy the cameras. You'll have fun. And I can't wait to tune in and see what you're doing also. Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom. All right, we've got the traffic right now. Here's Lauren Lapka.
CTA Yellow Line service is currently suspended because of a derailment near Oakton. Riders should use the 97 Skokie bus as an alternative. There are fallen power cables in Countryside at LaGrange Road and Joliet Road. In Evergreen Park, a downed tree is blocking Central Park Avenue near 95th. Also a downed tree in Island Lake at Burnett, west of North Darrell. A fallen tree on the south side at 103rd and Yale. And a fallen tree on the southwest side at 59th and Karloff. I'm Lauren Lapka from the IDOT Traffic Center, reminding you to drive responsibly. It really is a matter of life or death.
Wake up with Bob Surratt.
Wake up and get the day going with Bob Surratt. He has all you need 5 a.m. to 9 on Chicago's very own
WGN.
Grandview buys homes. Hi, I'm Tom Detlich, and I have great news for people who want to sell their home, particularly a home that needs work, but are worried about the current health concerns we are living with. You've heard that Grandview Homes is the fastest and easiest way to sell your home. No listing your home with real estate agents, no weeks or months of complete strangers walking through your house night and day, touching who knows what. Only to have the sale fall through and then starting all over again. For years, Grandview has been buying homes in as little as 10 days after a brief walkthrough by one of our professional home buying specialists. But now, given the current health situation, Grandview is making the process even faster, easier, and safer. Now we'll make an offer on your home no matter the condition without a personal visit. No one comes to your home, so no worries about your security or your health. We still make a fair cash offer in as little as 24 hours. If you like the offer, only then do we arrange to see the home in person. If you don't like our offer, no problem. You have nothing to lose. So call or visit the name you know and the name you trust. GrandviewHomes.com.
My name is David Hochberg, and I hope everyone is safe and healthy. In addition to all the essential workers, I want to thank everyone on my team who are essential to helping me help WGN listeners. Every cash-out refinance Team Hochberg closes helps WGN listeners lower their monthly payments, which helps them overcome the financial hardships caused by COVID-19. Every rate and term refinance Team Hochberg closes helps WGN listeners lower their monthly payments or pay their loan off faster, which helps them survive or build downline wealth. Every purchase loan Team Hochberg closes helps WGN listeners downsize to reduce their monthly financial burden or lay roots to enjoy future life cycle events. Because of my team's hard work and dedication, Team Hochberg is the trusted lender WGN listeners contact for a mortgage. If you'd like to see if Team Hochberg can help you reduce your monthly payments, please call 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com. Tune into Home Sweet Home Chicago, hosted by me, Saturdays at 10 a.m. Homeside Financial, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1124061.
Secretary of State facilities are now open, but until July 31st, only new drivers and those with expired licenses and IDs will be served. Vehicle stickers can also be renewed. There's no need to rush in. All expiration dates have been extended, and the Real ID deadline is now October 2021. Safety measures, including social distancing, are in place, so please be patient. Avoid lines by renewing online or by phone. For more information, visit cyberdriveillinois.com.
When it comes to the weather, we all want to know, what did Skilling say? Watch for updated forecasts from Chicago's most trusted meteorologist, Tom Skilling, weeknights on WGN TV.
Thank you, Andy. And yes, Mr. Skilling did say something to us in the 3 o'clock hour. We're going to replay that for you in the 6 o'clock hour if you are so interested in hearing what he has to say about all of this, plus hurricane season and how that's going to affect Chicago. I know you're thinking, well, it's a hurricane. How could it affect Chicago? It's going to affect Chicago. He's got a whole explanation for that. All right. Would you like to play Lala Band or Infectious Disease? You may do so. 312-981-7200 is our telephone number. A $25 gift certificate from Connie's Pizza in Bridgeport. Family owned and operated since 1963. Complete menu available for no contact delivery and takeout at their drive-up window. Order online at conniespizza.com or 312-CONNIES, CONNIES. So what we've got here is we've got a list of Lala bands. Now that Lala has been canceled, we might as well get this out of the way. We do it every year no matter what. Or real diseases. Actually, there's a couple here that are not communicable, I think. So just thought we would do that. It is always fun, and everybody's a winner. Let's just be honest. We'll get to that in just a moment. But first, let me just remind you right now that we've got everything you need for a trip to the grocery store in the Triple Play Grocery Giveaway, sponsored by Boomer Naturals and Grainberry. This week's winner receives a $150 gift card to Jewel Osco, courtesy of Grainberry, a family pack of face covers from Boomer Naturals, and a 3-month supply of Grainberry cereal. Congratulations to our second winner, subject to verification, Evelyn Pewitt of Plainfield. Tune in tomorrow to G's show between 7 and 10 p.m. to hear another winner in the Triple Play Grocery Giveaway. Enter today at WGNradio.com/contest for your chance to win $150 Jewel Osco gift card, family pack of face covers from Boomer Naturals, and a 3-month supply of Grainberry. Check WGNradio.com/contests for all other information that you might possibly need. Sponsored by Grainberry, healthy cereal for your family. Available at Jewel Osco and Boomer Naturals. Order now at boomernaturals.com. Use code BOB20 at checkout and save 20%. How about that? Okay. Now, let's play a little game that we've been playing for, well, many years here. Lala Band or a communicable disease. 312-981-7200. And again, you're going to win a $25 gift certificate to Connie's Pizza. Okay, now, Tara, you're on WGN. Tara, you ready to play?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Intermittent explosive.
Intermittent explosive?
Yes.
Oh.
That
I'm going to say a Lala Band.
Oh, no. Unfortunately, no, that's a disease. It's a disease? Intermittent explosive disorder, sometimes abbreviated as IED, is a behavioral disorder characterized by explosive outbursts of anger or violence, rage, or inappropriate behavior. And that basically describes me. So I must have this.
Sounds like me driving. Okay.
Yes. But that's okay. I'm still going to give you a $25 gift certificate anyway. Because I like everybody to be a winner around here. All right, Tara, hold on one second. Let's talk to Lyle. Lyle, you're on WGN. You ready, Lyle?
Yes, sir.
All right. Paris syndrome.
Lala Band.
Nope, that's a real disease. That is a real disease. Psychological condition experienced almost exclusively by Japanese tourists who are disappointed. Honest to God, this is actually in a medical journal of some sort, who are disappointed when the City of Lights does not live up to their romantic expectations. Paris syndrome. All right. You know what? That's so stupid. You're still going to get the $25 gift certificate. All right. All right. Thank you, Lyle. Julie, you're on WGN. Julie?
Hello.
Hello, Julie. All right. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. Is this a lalaband or a disease? Sudden death. Sudden death.
Lalaband.
There you go. Well, it's both, actually. I would have taken either answer. I mean, because sudden death really is a thing, right?
True.
Yeah. So I'll go with that. All right.
Okay.
Are you disappointed that Lala isn't here?
Well, I went to Lala when it first began, way back at the World, so I'm old. I haven't been to the one at Grand Park yet, so
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm always okay too. Especially when, I mean, we work just a couple blocks away from where the Lala fencing starts. I mean, it's basically like the green zone to get past that. They put up the exact same kind of fencing now that they did in Baghdad. I'm not kidding about that. And then the people have to go in, and it's always these girls being dropped off, like these 15-year-old girls and guys being dropped off by their parents downtown. And then there's nothing but appropriate clothes stashed in garbage cans anywhere near downtown because they get dropped off. They chuck off all the stuff that they got out of the house in, and then they're just wearing basically nothing to the Lala.
Yeah.
And
that would make me uncomfortable.
Yeah, the whole thing. The whole damn thing with the kids. That's that. And, so maybe this is all better. All right, hold on, Julie. We'll get your gift card from Connie's to you. Liz, you're on WGN. Go ahead, Liz.
Hello.
Hello. All right, here you go. This is a disease or a lalaband?
Okay.
Whistle shoot.
Band. Lala.
No, I'm sorry. No. It's actually a disease. It's a set of pure and rare neurological symptoms characterized by a tendency to make puns or tell inappropriate jokes or pointless stories in socially inappropriate situations. Which, by the way, again, describe. I know right now, Liz, you're thinking to yourself. I know. Yes, exactly. I know that's like Thanksgiving, isn't it? At every Thanksgiving, there's you have whistle shoot. That's what you have. All right, you're still going to get the $25 gift card. I don't care. That was a trick question. Anyway. All right, hold on. We'll get all your information. And Mark, you're on WGN. Go ahead, Mark. You there?
Yeah, I'm here, Ro. Go ahead.
All right. Okay. Lalaband or communicable disease, Coro.
Coro.
K-O-R-O.
I've never heard of that band. I'm going to say disease.
You are right, sir. That is correct. It is genital retraction syndrome, a psychiatric disorder characterized by anxiety and a deep fear of the shrinking of the genitals or retraction of the genitals into the abdominal area until they disappear. Coro syndrome
I think that's happening while I'm listening to this description.
Yes, I know. That's right. That's 100% right. That's exactly how I feel. It's like, well, actually, anytime I read symptoms of anything, I start to immediately get the symptoms. So as I'm reading this is what it is. This is what it's doing. All right. Well, there you go.
I'm so bummed Lala's not going, Ro. I just wanted to say I'm 50 years old. This would have been my 12th year. I am so bummed it's not going.
Yeah. The whole thing is a bummer because not only is Lala not going, but you also have a bunch of other stuff like the Air and Water Show, which it has been canceled a couple times, but only because of weather. You know, the teams are all here and they practice.
Fest, which should have just happened.
Yep. I mean, and I know, I get it. I understand the issue, at least, currently. But getting, I don't know. It seems to me like Air and Water, we could have gotten away with that. Seems we could have done that because we're going to open up the beaches in the next week or so anyway. So
I think when I heard Jazz Fest was being canceled, that was like the final nail in the coffin.
Right, because that's at the end, right, of the summer.
That's fall.
Yeah,
that's fall.
Right.
Yeah, that's the summer.
Yeah, I know. And then and the mayor, I mean, rightfully so, but the mayor is saying that the city is broke. Well, yeah, because none of this revenue is coming in. I'm so over this, man.
We'll get there, Ro. We'll get through this.
Okay, I know. All right.
Go
All right, we'll
strong.
hold each other. I'm going to, right now, I've got the Coro even talking about this. All right. Thank you very much, Mark. Hold on one second. We will,
Thanks, bro.
we'll get you your $25 gift certificate to Connie's Pizza. And again, it's since 1963. Family owned and operated. Connie'sPizza.com or 312 Connie's. We have the news with Kim Gordon from the Northwestern Medicine Newsroom right now.
77 degrees at 4:30. Good afternoon. I'm Kim Gordon. The news is sponsored by Antenna TV. Mayor Lightfoot announces a $700 million budget shortfall today due to the pandemic.
Clock is really ticking on Major League Baseball as the two sides try to come to an agreement.
And in business, the labor secretary says America's economy is coming back after the shutdown. WGN Traffic, here's Lauren Lapka.
A crash on I-65 South is still blocking the right lane near 61st. Inbound Kennedy is backed up from Armitage. It's 27 from O'Hare. Both sides of the Eisenhower between 390 and the Circle are roughly 40 minutes. Up on Stevenson is congested between Ashland and Pulaski. It's 36 minutes to Veterans Memorial. Traffic still heavy outbound on the Dan Ryan from 47th. It's 34 minutes out to 95th. Seeing reports of a crash southbound on Lakeshore Drive near the Oak Street curve. And a disabled truck on I-80-94 East is in the two left lanes at Klein. And the westbound entrance ramp is closed at Grant for roadwork until June 30th. I'm Lauren Lapka from the IDOT Traffic Center, reminding you to drive responsibly. It really is a matter of life or death.
The news is next, but first, Tom Skilling's forecast from the Permaseal Weather Center. A wind advisory in effect through midnight. Tonight, very windy, warm and humid. A few clusters of gusty showers, a few with a bit of thunder and lightning, a low of 71. Tomorrow, clouds, some mixed sun, windy, warm and humid, several showers and thunderstorms possible, turning much cooler with declining humidities in the afternoon and evening, a high of 78. Thursday, mostly sunny, remaining fairly windy, but with temperatures at more seasonable levels, noticeably less humid with a high of 77. Mayor Lightfoot is projecting a $700 million budget shortfall this year due to COVID-19, and she says 2021's budget isn't looking good either. She says they're slowly hiring and looking at other efficiencies.
The last thing that I want to do is raise property taxes. Now, I can't take that off the table, but it is truly the last thing that I want to do.
She says the city lost over $175 million just in March and April. The Labor Department says there are about 1 million fewer jobs in April than there were in March. The report indicates the labor market may have already hit its bottom. Labor Secretary Eugene Scalia says the goal now is to get Americans back to work and do so safely.
The best thing for workers is work, not unemployment.
Speaking at a Senate hearing, he says the economy has turned the corner against the coronavirus. He acknowledged many Americans were waiting too long for unemployment benefits. George Floyd is now being buried next to his mother. Funeral services were held in Houston this afternoon. His brother, Philanese Floyd, spoke at the service.
I want justice for my brother, my big brother. That's Big Floyd. Everybody knows who Big Floyd is now.
The Reverend Al Sharpton gave the eulogy, saying he believed justice would eventually be served, while also calling for one standard of justice in the world. Community activists from the group Voices of Youth in Chicago joined city and state leaders calling for Chicago public schools to remove police from those schools in the wake of the death of George Floyd. State Representative LaShawn Ford says the state sends police into areas that need the most help.
Not social service help, not behavioral health support, not help for students that's homeless. They send police. What kind of help is that? It's help to add to the school to prison pipeline, and I stand against that practice.
The group is calling for the city to spend $33 million on mental health resources rather than paying for police in schools. A Chicago officer has been stripped of his police powers due to his behavior last week in Lincoln Park. The officer was caught on camera flipping off protesters as he and his partner left the scene of a protest over the weekend. Mayor Lightfoot is calling for the officer to be fired. For now, Police Superintendent David Brown says the officer has been demoted to desk duty. Lollapalooza may not be held in Grant Park this year. That announcement from the city today, but there will be a virtual Lolla. It'll be a week long, held July 30th to August 2nd. Organizers say a full schedule will be coming next month. And some sad news this afternoon. Longtime NBC5 reporter and anchor Dick Johnson has died due to a respiratory condition. He'd gone to Michigan in early March due to the pandemic. Funeral arrangements are pending. He was 66. And now WGN Sports. Here's Andy Mazer.
Major League Baseball officials says there needs to be an agreement by tomorrow in order to implement a new proposal for a 76-game regular season followed by playoffs that would involve as many as 16 teams. That time frame has been sent in a letter to a negotiator for the Players Union. The plan would guarantee 50% of players' prorated salaries over the regular season. Enough with the Zoom calls already. That's the feeling of Bears head coach Matt Nagy. He cuts the Bears offseason program short. Nagy says he wants his player to focus on training without having to worry about video conferences 4 days a week. The team will hold its final virtual meeting coming up on Thursday. PGA Tour plans to leave the 8:46 a.m. tee time vacant this week at the Colonial. It's part of a tribute to George Floyd and to support efforts to end racial and social injustice. The Pro Football Hall of Fame will reopen tomorrow after nearly 3 months closed because of the coronavirus pandemic. There will be several health and safety guidelines in place for visitors and workers at the Canton Shrine. All employees must wear face coverings, and visitors are encouraged to do so as well. On the home of the Blackhawks, Northwestern Wildcats, and White Sox baseball, Andy Mazer, WGN Sports.
Your money on WGN. The Dow closed down 300 points. Today, NASDAQ up 29. The S&P 500 down 25 points. Gold up today. Oil up 61 cents at $38.80. And the VIX at the CBOE up a point. I'm Kim Gordon on Chicago's very own 720 WGN.
And they're off. Out of the gate, it's summer's here, followed by biting mosquitoes, ticks aplenty, and yard pests galore. But wait, here comes Mosquito Squad at the turn, blowing away the competition, absolutely killing biting mosquitoes, ticks aplenty, and yard pests galore. These three are nowhere to be seen. It's summer's here in Mosquito Squad, pulling away, coming into the final stretch. It's gonna be close. It's summer's here with Mosquito Squad at your place. Summer's here in Mosquito Squad, a winning combination. Go to MosquitoSquadChicago.com. That's MosquitoSquadChicago.com.
Chest pain, diabetes, asthma. Your health needs won't wait for COVID-19 to end. Delaying care for serious issues could put your health at risk. So at North Shore University Health System, we're taking every step to ensure your safety. Telehealth and e-visits offer care online or on the phone without leaving home. And for in-person visits, we're practicing the latest safety protocols. So don't delay. Get the care you need now at North Shore. Visit northshore.org/telehealth.
Sad news in Kim's report there. Dick Johnson, longtime Chicago television anchor and reporter at NBC, ABC, and then NBC here in Chicago, has passed away in northern Michigan. We'll talk to his former co-anchor, Anna Devlantis, who's going to join us coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, along with Ben Bradley. We all knew Dick, and he was a great guy. So we'll talk a little bit about that coming your way after the 5 o'clock news at the top of the hour. Also, in the 5 o'clock hour, Fergie Jenkins is going to join us. Of course, longtime Chicago baseball fans will know Fergie Jenkins as one of the greats ever to play for the Chicago Cubs. And he had a long and storied career in baseball. But a lot of people, I think, may not know that Fergie Jenkins is Canadian. He actually started playing hockey when he was a kid. Was a great hockey player. They thought he was going to go pro as a hockey player. And then while he was in high school, a guy said, "Hey, we're doing a baseball team here. You want to try that?" And, well, the rest was history. He wrote a really interesting social media post about growing up a Canadian and as a black man, what his life in America once he came here to be a baseball star was like, and the difference between how he grew up and then what eventually happened with him here. It's a really fascinating story, and Fergie will share that with us coming your way after 5:35, right about now, an hour from now. So come back for that. Okay. Now, on a little bit of a lighter note, maybe a happier note for parents, you want to send your kids off to camp, do you not? Yes, I know you do. I know you do. There's no question about that. Now, can you? Is it safe to send the kids off to camp, whether it's day camp or overnight camp or any of those things? And is it too late? Because you think, well, by now we would have already had to have made the agreement and the whole thing, and can we actually do it? So Alonzo Williams is with us. He's the Chief Program Officer at Chicago Park District. Now, this is for kids in the city of Chicago. Coming up after the break, we're going to talk about kids in the suburbs and what they can experience. But Alonzo, let's start with this. So day camps are going to be open in the city, the kinds of camps, the park camps that have been open for decades. I actually took part in this when I was a kid. So they are opening as normal, sort of.
Hey, Ro, how are you doing today? Good morning. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Alonzo. So when does it start?
Hey, Ro, we're looking to start Monday, July the 6th. when we're looking to start our programs. However, you can register for our programs as early as this upcoming Thursday if you're west of California, and this upcoming Friday if you're east of California. And that's when you can register. And if you can't do it online, many of our camps do have an in-person option that starts on Saturday the 13th as well.
Saturday the 13th of this month, right? This Saturday. So
this Saturday, correct.
Now, how many camps are there for the Park District?
So we have hundreds of camps throughout the Park District, right? Almost every park you can think of, as you just stated, as a kid, you went to camp at a local park. Camp is going to be a little different this year. I mean, due to COVID, where we are forced to follow the rules of our city, state, and federal rules for health departments. So we are going to reduce our numbers. We're going to have roughly a 1-to-9 ratio, and we're calling that a pod. Those pods will be broken down into smaller groups within the park. So let's take a park that once had 200 kids. Because of those rules, we'll only have roughly 48 kids. So there is limited space this year.
And so applying early, right, is the key. And it's first come, first serve in the application?
First come, first serve online, first come, first serve in person. Obviously, and for the in-person, we are practicing social distancing, and we do have limited spaces in person. We're going to try to put the bulk of our registration opportunity online.
And Alonzo, what kind of activities are the kids going to be doing here now in the COVID-19 world? What can they do? What can't they do?
So that's very interesting, man. So we are going to try to stay, even in this non-traditional world, we're going to try to remain with some of the former experience. So you'll see some arts and crafts. You'll see some modified sports, You'll see a lot of wellness-based programs. You'll see nature-based programs. And you'll see some kind of in-house special events. That may be that may be movie Tuesday in the park where you're just playing movies in the gym or something for a while.
Yeah.
So we have done our best, and we have one of the best staffs around that we were able to put our heads together in somewhat of a short period of time to define what these camps are going to look like citywide.
Yeah, because when I was in the Park District summer camps when I was a kid, it was baseball or it was softball, but then baseball, actually fast pitch. But, when you're 8, it's not all that fast. And we didn't believe in T-ball. I'm going to tell you, that's, back in my day, we didn't have T's. We hadn't invented the T yet. Basketball, flag football, stuff like that, they're not going to have any of that?
Again, we're going to do some modified stuff. So, for instance, there may be, if you take soccer as a sport, soccer, as we know, is a sport where you're not supposed to touch the ball unless you're the goalkeeper, right? So we'll be doing some soccer-based skills of passing, using your feet. We'll be doing some other modified-based sports where we're making sure that we're still keeping some of that social distancing. As far as sports, fun, and games, I don't know if you guys remember when you were younger, but we played red light, green light, right? So we'll be doing some fun activity and games like that to get through these hard times. Yeah.
Oh man, that's. I hate to tell you, Alonzo, but that almost breaks my heart. That red light, green light is going to be the highlight of some kid's day this summer because that's as far as we can get here. All right. So once again, if you're a Chicago family, you want your kids to take part in Chicago Park District camps, which are great. I mean, I'm here to tell you that it's kids in the neighborhood. Right? Because they're all going to their neighborhood park, essentially. They all kind of know each other anyway. And there are some really, really great programs. And you never know what's actually going to come out of that because I can just tell you a little story about the Chicago Park District. And there was a kid named Rudy Malnati who grew up in a neighborhood, and he would go hang out at the Park District park, and then he would hang out in the field house, and then he met the people at the field house, and they were putting on the Air and Water show because there's just a bunch of World War II vets who were like, hey, we're going to call our friends and they're going to come fly in front of downtown Chicago. And years later, Rudy, because of his connection to going to those camps, ended up running the air show, becoming a huge success nationally as an air show guy. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know what's going to actually happen. So just a little bit of a story from the Chicago Park District and the Chicago Public Parks and Field Houses stuff. Very, very cool program. People should definitely take more advantage of it because a lot of great things come out of it. Alonzo Williams, thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. And again, what's the website?
www.chicagoparkdistrict.com, and we start as early as Thursday, June the 11th. So just start looking there. Start putting yourself in your box if you like it.
All right. Thank you, Alonzo. Good luck with that. All right, coming up on the other side, kids in the suburbs, what are they going to do? And what is overnight camp going to look like? We're going to find out about that. But first, here's Lauren Lapka. She's got the WGN traffic.
And it's brought to you by the Illinois Department of Transportation. Wind has knocked over several trees across the area. In Evanston, a CTA yellow line struck a downed tree and derailed. Asbury is closed between Brummel and Mulford because of this. Also, CTA service is currently suspended. Riders should use the 97 Skokie bus as an alternative. And a few issues on I-8094 to be aware of. A disabled truck on I-8094 East is in the 2 left lanes at Klein, and a crash on the westbound side is blocking 2 center lanes at Central. I'm Lauren Lapka from the IDOT Traffic Center, reminding you to drive responsibly. It really is a matter of life or death.
You could not like Frank. I mean, he's just that kind of a guy. Everybody liked him. Frank was killed working in a work zone in Cook County. The guy he was working with, he got on the phone with me and explained to me what happened. And I was searching for words. When you get in construction zones, too many people have gotten killed. These people got families just like you do. Please, slow down. You can learn more about Frank at lifeordeathillinois.com.
We're committed to protecting the health and safety of your family as we take care of your plumbing, AC, and electrical needs. As always, ABC is here for you. We realize how important it is to keep your home cool and running smoothly. So rest assured, your family will stay comfortable with an ultimate AC tune-up for just $89. Just $89 for peace of mind. Schedule at 4abc.com. That's the number 4abc.com. Consider it cool. Consider it safe. Consider it done.
Apple Chevrolet is back. They are open for business. They really were never not open for business. Apple Chevy knows the importance of safety. They're continuing to step up their sanitation and disinfecting process, ensuring that you're going to have the absolute safest and healthiest car buying experience around. They also have some of the best pricing of the year. No interest financing, deferred payments, sign and drive leases on Chevy's most popular vehicles. Right now, perfect time to buy. So if you're more comfortable shopping at home, Apple Chevy can bring their showroom to you. That's right. Never been more convenient to shop for a car. They'll bring any new or pre-owned vehicle to your home. Appraise your trade-in vehicle on the spot. So stop by or call Apple Chevrolet today to schedule an at-home vehicle test drive. 708-429-3000. That's 708-429-3000, or visit applechevy.com. When you're shopping for a Chevy, pick Apple Chevrolet. Find new roads. All right, we were talking about what you can do with the kids at the camp. Some of the camps are opening. As we just mentioned, Chicago Park District camps are opening. You should check also with your local park district, wherever you live. If you live in a suburb, there's a park district out there, or county park districts that can help you figure out if there are programs available for the kids, because they are starting in earnest again. And Ed Amstutz is owner of the Country Experience Farm Camp, which is outside of Galena. And we've been talking to people for the last couple of weeks at, who own camps, or there's a National Association of Summer Camps, and there's an Illinois chapter of that. And we're talking about what's happening here, and that basically the Indiana, Wisconsin, Michigan, those places around us that have this. And you guys are going to be opening up in July. Is that correct?
It is, Ro. Well, first of all, thank you for having us on. I appreciate what you've done, and talked to Colette over at the American Camp Association earlier. And we are, in fact, hoping to open July 6th with our first week of camp, fairly close to the time that Alonzo was talking about with Chicago. Mm-hmm. But we are anticipating that summer programs are part of Phase 4, and excited that we will be able, with a fair number of considerations and adjustments, but we will be able to host overnight camp this summer.
Okay, so tell me what it's going to be like in terms of a differential between what it was like last year versus this year. What are you taking out? What are you putting in?
Yeah, sure. Very good question. Some of the things that we do on our farm, we have a 34-acre farm camp, and we already run small sessions. So you're only going to see 35 or 40 campers on the farm. So when we move into the pods that Alonzo was talking about, or cohorts, breaking those into smaller groups of 6 or 7 or 8, that's fairly easy for us to do, because when you're feeding the animals or you're taking care of the gardens, those things happen nicely in smaller groups already. And because we're outside, social distance is easier to accomplish than if we're all inside. But some of the things that we're going to have to pay close attention to, we're testing all of our staff before the camp season begins so that when parents drop off their campers, we're guaranteeing a COVID negative team that is here waiting to serve them.
And everybody stays together in that team during the camp so that theoretically...
They do. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. That theoretically, they all stay together. I mean, how do we enforce that to make sure that everybody stays COVID negative?
We do. Anytime you introduce new folks, there is the potential for exposure. And so what you try to do is stay outside, stay distant, and minimize the number of people that are crossing between groups. So the pods will have the same counselor all week. They will eat outside under a tent if it's raining, but we're going to eat outside, and you're going to sit at the same table every meal. You're going to actually be washing your own dishes, which is part of what we do at farm camp.
God
but
forbid.
You're not going to be washing each other's dishes. So there's a little bit of shift in planning, but the core that the CDC and the Illinois Department of Public Health have laid out is that you're safer outside, you're safer with distance, and so the more that we can do that, the better off we're going to be.
So how we were talking earlier, Ed, about how people are so pent up, no matter where you go, city, suburbs, wherever. I mean, they just, as soon as a restaurant opened or somebody could sit outside at a bar or at a patio for a restaurant, I mean, they just filled up. There was pent up demand. Is there pent up demand with parents to get their kids out of the house?
There actually is. I won't say that summer camp in person overnight is right for every family. There are some who are not comfortable with that, and we see that too. We were told that that's probably going to be about 20% of our current registrations. It's actually been down under 10%. And we've had more than 2.5 times as many families want to add weeks or to sign up once they learn that we are going to be open. So we're anticipating that we're going to be full this summer.
And is it 1 week at a time? Is that how that works for you guys?
It is. Our format is arrival on Monday and pick up on Friday. They stay 4 nights. They do the work of the farm. They're outside working on chores, projects, building rabbit hutches, taking care of the goats, caring for the pigs, and all of those sorts of things. But the things that they tell us and the campers communicate back is they just love the freedom and the responsibility, and we're still going to be able to deliver that. And I think for children who've been inside and camp families, we're hearing over and over, they're so looking forward to getting out and being able to sort of feel like themselves again.
Yeah. And are there other things to do? I mean, games, what else do the kids do that they would normally not be doing, or things that they would do before that they can't now?
So a lot of what we call free range time. So the opportunity to go visit the animals that you would like to, play with the rabbits, and or be near your friends in the hammocks. You're going to need to do those in your pods, and so that's going to eliminate a few things. Like we have done a dunk tank before. We do mud tug of war. Probably not going to do mud tug of war this year. But our other favorite Thursday evening thing is wood-fired pizza out on the patio, and we're going to be able to do that. So we'll miss out on a few things. There are probably going to be some that we find are new and awesome and special, and we had never considered before.
I don't know, Ed. I mean, the thing is, I wonder when kids are going through this. Whether the kids are 8. I don't know. Where do you start at 8 or 9 for the kids, or 10? Something like that?
7, yep.
7, okay.
7 to 12 is our core, and then we have a counselor and training program for 13 to 17-year-olds. Teach them some leadership and help them.
Yeah, that always freaked me out, because when I would go to day camp when I was a kid, when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I would look at the counselors and think, oh my God, look at how old they are, and they were like 14-year-olds. So that when I eventually figured that out, I got very depressed.
Ours are all a little older than that, but we don't have anybody under.
But you know what I mean?
19,
I mean, it's just.
I do.
Yeah,
the
whole thing is weird.
Those are just kids watching kids.
Right, it's Lord of the Flies is basically what it is. But what you have, what you guys are doing is, it's outdoors, it's being around the animals and all of that. I wonder, as we talk about what the experience is for our kids, there's going to be sort of a new normal, especially we've talked to doctors about this, 7 and 8 year olds, where they're really kind of coming into their own, as you know, they're fully formed personalities, and what their memories are going to be, which are going to be very profound memories from this era. It's going to inform how they look at the world ahead, and you wonder and marvel at how they're going to change the world when they're in charge of it because of what they've seen here.
I think they certainly will. I think there will be probably less stigma around masks. And we're going to be wearing masks a fair amount, the counselors for sure. And, when you're outside of the cohorts and the pods, you need to have some protection. So I think there will be a more acceptance of some of those things. I think there will also be an appreciation for freedom and health, because it's been a little fragile for the last couple of months.
Yeah, for sure. And just as you guys are opening up your summer camp, which is right outside Galena, Illinois, so you're about 2 hours west of Chicago. We
are.
If there is a concern about health, I mean, you guys are near medical facilities and stuff for the kids?
We are. We're very, very close. In fact, there's a doctor's office right in town. We're next to a nursing home, which has doctors on staff. And there's an emergency room in Galena just 12 miles away. We've been working very, very closely with our local health department and putting in place protocols. What is the trigger when you start to feel like somebody might be ill? And we're taking temperatures of our staff already, and they're still 2 weeks away from arriving on the farm for training. Right. And we're asking all of the campers who come to give a health update and take their temperatures for 2 weeks prior to when they arrive. And then once they get here, we're going to take temperatures every day. But in our region, in the Restore Illinois plan, only 5% of the tests are coming up positive. Yeah. So there's a 95% chance that if somebody does have symptoms, it wouldn't be. So we're looking at testing and figuring out how we can ensure what we know, but only being 2 hours away from Chicago, where a lot of the families come from, it's very, very quick and easy if we need to get in touch with a parent and take some action fast. Yeah.
Ed, thank you very much. Owner of the Country Experience Farm Camp outside of Galena. What's the website? Ed, what happened to Ed? We'll give you the website on the other side of that. Poor Ed. It was just Ed. Are you still there?
I am here.
Okay. What is the website?
The website, theCountryExperience.com.
theCountryExperience.com. Thank you very much, Ed. Appreciate your time. All right, we got the news coming away from the Northwestern Medicine Newsroom in 2 minutes.
Chicago's very own WGN Radio Chicago.
Hello, folks. Orion here again, and if you're in the market for a new Subaru, then Gary Lang Subaru is the name I trust. Right now, experience their touchless car buying system at GaryLangSubaru.com. Simply select your favorite Subaru model from their vast inventory: Legacy, Impreza, Forester, Outback, Crosstrek, or Ascent. Secure your financing, get an instant trade offer, and your car will be delivered to your door. Or you can schedule an appointment in their sanitized showroom. Folks, visit Gary Lang Subaru, just minutes away from anywhere on Route 31 between McHenry and Crystal Lake, or complete your entire purchase online at GaryLangSubaru.com. You can't afford to buy or lease a new Subaru anywhere else. And remember, if it doesn't say Gary Lang on the back, you probably paid too much.
Your basement is already dry most of the time, but if you want your basement dry all of the time, you know who to call. Permaseal at 800-421-SEAL or permaseal.net.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 7750 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 7750. Enjoy!
Serving the great Midwest from Chicago, this is WGN at AM 720 on your radio and on smart devices anywhere just by saying play WGN Radio on TuneIn.
WGN Chicago.
A Nexstar Media Group station.
78 degrees at 5 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Kim Gordon. The news is sponsored by LindholmRoofing.com. Some Chicago area kids will be back in school this fall.
Chicago sports celebrating a 10-year anniversary today.
And in business, the Paycheck Protection Program having a major impact in Illinois. WGN Traffic, here's Lauren Lapka.
And this report is sponsored by AP Info. A crash on I-80-94 West is blocking 2 center lanes at Central. There's also an accident northbound on the Tri-State blocking 2 left lanes near I-57. Inbound Kennedy is backed up from Augusta. It's 22 minutes from O'Hare. Inbound Eisenhower also congested, but that's around Wolf Road as well as Ashland. It's 35 minutes from 390. Outbound Stevenson just a bit slow. It's 38 minutes to Veterans Memorial. Traffic still heavy outbound on the Dan Ryan. That's from Garfield now, looking at a half hour out to 95th. Lakeshore Drive is stop and go southbound between Michigan and Chicago Avenue. And again, a lot of downed trees and power lines across the area, so do be careful if you head out. Ground Game is the latest podcast from the Associated Press. Hosted by AP's Julie Pace, Ground Game discusses election strategy all through primary season. Download it wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Lauren Lapka from the IDOT Traffic Center, reminding you to drive responsibly. It really is a matter of life or death.
The news is next, but first the WGN forecast. Here's meteorologist Demetrius Ivory.
Showers and thunderstorms will continue. Windy conditions tonight with winds gusting to around 50 miles per hour. Low temps down into the mid-70s. Tomorrow's high will be right around 80. Will be cloudy for much of the day. Breezy, winds gusting to 30 miles per hour with showers and thunderstorms. On Thursday, expect sunny conditions. The high temperature right around 80. Friday, we're back up to 79. Expect sunny conditions there once again. Saturday and Sunday, a cool weekend, but a dry weekend comes our way. Saturday's high in the mid-60s, Sunday near 70. I'm WGN meteorologist Demetrius Ivory.
The Chicago Archdiocese is working to reopen Catholic schools this fall. They'll be making PPE and sanitizer available. Plexiglass barriers are being added to common areas, and there will be temperature checks for students and staff showing symptoms of coronavirus.
We also know that some will prefer or need to stay at home. Remote learning will be available for these students so that they can keep pace with their class.
Cardinal Blaise Cupich says more information will be released on the plans at a later date. The Paycheck Protection Program has pumped more than $22 billion into the Illinois economy. WGN Steve Bertrand with more.
As the mayor talks about a $700 million budget deficit and waits for more federal aid, the picture of some of the aid to make it here so far is beginning to take shape. Crane says there have been more than 186,000 PPP loans approved in Illinois, bringing in just over $22 billion to the state economy. There have been over 4.5 million loans nationwide. Steve Bertrand, WGN News.
Mayor Lightfoot also announcing today how the city will spend the $1.3 billion it will receive for coronavirus relief from the federal government.
$43 million towards housing assistance to help our families keep up their rent and mortgage payments, preventing homelessness and providing rapid rehousing. $35 million for small businesses who have been working desperately to stay open.
The money will also be used for food assistance, mental health services, violence prevention, and workforce development. The city can use this money for pandemic costs only. Funeral services for George Floyd have wrapped up, and he's now being buried next to his mother. His sister, LaTanya, spoke at the service.
I just want to say to him, I love you, and I thank God for giving me my own personal Superman. God bless you all.
During Floyd's eulogy, the Reverend Al Sharpton praised protests across the world. He says he's been inspired by those tearing down statues of people who owned slaves.
All over the world, I've seen grandchildren of slave masters tearing down slave master statue over in England and put it in the river. I'll pour out my spirit among all flesh.
Demonstrators in Britain removed a statue of slave trader Edward Colston in Bristol, then threw it in the harbor. Other demonstrations have taken place in France, Italy, and Canada. Paris's iconic Eiffel Tower is reopening later this month. Starting June 20th, the landmark will allow visits by stairs. Any visitors 11 or older must wear a mask, and elevators will remain closed along with the top floor. The monument was closed for over 3 months due to the pandemic. And now WGN Sports, here's Andy Mazer.
Bears head coach Matt Nagy cutting the team's offseason program early, saying that the Zoom meetings were productive, but now he wants his players to focus on training without having to worry about video conferences 4 days a week. Team will hold its final virtual meeting coming up on Thursday. Veterans will be off after that until training camp. The rookies will still be required to meet. A Major League Baseball official says there needs to be an agreement by tomorrow in order to implement a new proposal for a 76-game regular season, followed by playoffs that would involve as many as 16 teams. The plan would guarantee 50% of players' prorated salaries over that regular season. PGA Tour will honor the memory of George Floyd by leaving the 8:46 a.m. tee time vacant this week at the Colonial. It's part of a tribute to Floyd and to support efforts to end racial and social injustice. And what a crazy night it was. 10 years ago today, you probably remember where you were when you heard this Patrick Kane goal right here on WGN Radio.
Here's Kane now, juking his way to the right, lower left corner. Should he score? Oh, no, that's turned wide by Leighton. And now it's in the net. They score! It's in! They score! It's in! The Hawks win the Stanley Cup! The Hawks win the Stanley Cup. Leighton is down on his knees in the goal crease. They're going to go and take a look. It's in the back of the net. The Hawks have won the Stanley Cup. Blackhawk fans around the world, you've endured 49 years of frustration, but your patience has finally paid off. Lord Stanley's new address is Sweet Home Chicago. It's over, they did it! In Philadelphia, they're celebrating, bud. How about that? They've won it. The Hawks win the Stanley Cup. The Chicago Blackhawks are Stanley Cup champions.
John Weideman and Troy Murray here on that fateful June evening in 2010 here on WGN Radio. The Hawks, of course, win their first Stanley Cup in 49 years. On the home of the Blackhawks, Northwestern Wildcats and White Sox baseball, Andy Mazer, WGN Sports.
Your money on WGN. The Dow closed down 300 points. NASDAQ up 29. The S&P 500 down 25 points. I'm Kim Gordon on Chicago's very own 720 WGN.
Hi, it's Lou Manfredini. I get asked all the time why I recommend Gilkey windows. Well, here are the facts. Gilkey has been independently verified to be among the country's most energy-efficient windows. Gilkey windows eliminate the transmission of nearly all UV radiation, and the Gilkey warranty is second to none. Right now, take $1,000 off 5 or more windows, $2,500 off 10 or more windows, and take $700 off patio and entry doors, or no money down and no interest for 12 months. Gilkey offers several options to help you. They'll come to your home, exercising safety measures, or you can visit their Chicago Ridge showroom open Monday through Saturday, or in Palatine, even open Sundays 10 to 4. If new windows are on your list, give Gilkey a call now and schedule an appointment to get your home renovation underway. Call 1-888-3-GILKEY or visit Gilkey.com today. Choose vinyl or choose fiberglass. Just be sure to choose Gilkey.
New car dealers are open and ready for business. The latest cleaning safety procedures offer peace of mind as you shop for your next vehicle. Whether it's new or used, car or truck, you'll find it at one of 400 Chicagoland new car dealers. Begin your search today at drivechicago.com.
Coming up a little bit later on in this hour, we're going to talk to Fergie Jenkins, Hall of Fame pitcher, Chicago Cub from the 1960s and 1970s. An amazing baseball career, but he has had an even more amazing life. And he's Canadian. A lot of, I think, people didn't realize that unless they were huge fans. He was born and raised in Canada, and he came to play baseball in the United States. And his experience of coming to the United States as a black man of Canadian heritage, originally American heritage, but he'll explain that as well when we talk to him. But as a Canadian growing up in Canada, what he experienced here was so different, and it's so relevant to the conversations that we have had since the 1970s and continue to have today about the way that we treat each other in this country. And it is an amazingly emotional social media post that he put up a couple days ago, and it's gotten a lot of traction, and we wanted to talk to him about it because it really is a great way of encapsulating this in a thoughtful way. in a way that doesn't divide us, but actually unites us around this notion of how we can actually make things better for everybody. And Fergie will be here to discuss this. And you just heard in the sports report that audio of that night 10 years ago to this almost, let's see, would it be 10 years plus maybe 4 hours ago when the Chicago Blackhawks won the Stanley Cup. What an amazing moment that was. And Andy Mazer brought that to you just a few moments ago as he's in for Kevin Powell in the sports. We will have Eddie Olczyk on to discuss that with us. What that moment was like for him, longtime Chicago Blackhawk, and then NHL player, and then coach, also now a broadcaster, of course, Chicago Blackhawks broadcaster on the TV side. What his recollection of that was. We'll talk about it. And can they ever do it again? They're going back, we think. They're in the playoffs, technically, sort of, when the NHL does eventually return. So we'll talk about all that. And then Tuesdays with Tom. We'll have that for you after 6:30 tonight. Okay, a little press relief for you right here. Mayor Lightfoot was asked today about the city's shortfall. She says it's $700 million that is missing out of the budget as a result of the COVID-19 shutdown. So she called it sobering. Yes, I'd say that's true. A decline in tax revenue from hotels, restaurants, parking, it all contributed.
It's not just the businesses themselves being closed. It's that the workers having little or no income to spend them on themselves and to take care of their needs and further support other businesses. All of our revenue streams have taken a hit, not just those. What we have seen is a complete change in consumer behavior as a result of COVID-19, the stay-at-home order, and other things that have affected the way in which people are consuming goods and services. People aren't driving, and they're just not consuming goods and services in the same way.
It's all true. And you even know it in your own life, right? You don't need anybody to tell you how much less you are spending. It is, unless there's some reason that you have to be spending money, there really isn't a good place to spend it. For months, there wasn't a good place to spend it. Actually, that's one of the hopes that investors on Wall Street have, is that when businesses do start opening up, that's why there has been this surge in stock prices, and you now have record levels at the NASDAQ, and the S&P are back to their highs, and Dow is just below its all-time high. There is thought that because there's so much pent-up money, pent-up people with pent-up money that has not been spent, that they're just going to throw that right back into the economy. Let's hope that happens. But in the meantime, the city is really, I cannot imagine what that would be like to be dealing with the budget. Now, Lollapalooza, along with a bunch of other stuff that the city was going to be doing, a bunch of the festivals, the music festivals that were planned by the city for downtown, whether it's in Millennium Park or Grant Park or any of the places that Hutchinson Field, any of the places where the city throws those things. Plus, the Air and Water Show has been canceled as well. Here is what she said concerning all of that, and especially with Lollapalooza. What took so long for that announcement to be made?
You think about Lollapalooza, and we've had extensive discussions with the owners of Lollapalooza, who are terrific people. But the reality is, bringing 100,000 people in mass, in close quarters, which is what the daily head count is every single day of Lollapalooza, bringing that many people from all over the country downtown in Grant Park every single day, we might as well just light ourselves on fire. It makes no sense.
She does make a point, though, that company that puts on C3, I think is the name of the company, that puts on Lollapalooza. There's 8 Lollapaloozas around the world. And they do all these other outdoor festivals, and they do this amazing job, the logistics of it. The people who actually do this, there's a lot of military people who are logistics people from the military that they brought in to create these outdoor festivals, and they have to create sanitation and all of that for people. Chicago's a little easier because there's a built-in infrastructure in Chicago, but if they're doing something out in the middle of the desert like Burning Man, that's a much tougher thing for them to do. And so this company they got nothing this year, and those artists nothing, and the people who all the support around that, it's like taking a year off. It's a crazy thing, and hopefully they'll be able to make it through this too, and that next year we won't have to worry about the same things. Okay, on the other side, Ben Bradley is going to join us along with Anna Duvlantis, actually, as we remember a great Chicago journalist, Dick Johnson, it was announced has died, and we will talk about what his legacy is in Chicago. But first, here's Lauren Lapka. She's telling us about the roads and the streets.
In Rosemont, Higgins is now closed between Des Plaines River Road and the Jane Addams because of debris falling from a nearby high-rise. And a reminder that CTA Yellow Line service is suspended. A tree was blown over in Evanston, and one of the trains hit it and derailed. So Asbury is closed between Brummel and Mulford. CTA riders should use the 97 Skokie bus as an alternative. And an accident in Waukegan has shut down Route 132 westbound between Lewis and Martin. I'm Lauren Lapka from the IDOT Traffic Center, reminding you to drive responsibly. It really is a matter of life or death.
Is it rare for asymptomatic people who have COVID-19 to spread the virus, or isn't it? And are states undercounting cases? The infectious disease doctor who advises the World Health Organization advises us at 7:48 a.m. We have your wake-up call.
Bob's the Rot, Radio Chicago, WGN.
There's no doubt about the following things. The weather will get better and warmer. We're all going to get through this dang pandemic, and your knee is not going to get any better on its own. This is John Williams encouraging you to go to the Joint Relief Institute as soon as you can. They're in Orland Park in Oak Brook. They'll use digital imaging so you and they can see where your knee is deteriorated. And then they'll put a lubricant into the precise spot where that tissue's gone away, and it works. It's a quick, pain-free, non-surgical procedure, and that first visit is free. They're an essential business, by golly, and taking care of that knee pain is essential to your well-being. So as the weather gets better, and as we tippy-toe back out into this new world, I want you to walk with confidence, with a pain-free gait. I want you to get that knee taken care of. Start by visiting the Joint Relief Institute at jointreliefinstitute.com or call 708-888-0000. 708-888-0000, as in zero pain.
Attention business owners. With the coronavirus and so many other contaminants polluting our air, the challenges of staying healthy and productive can feel overwhelming. Millhouse Engineering and Construction solves problems that improve communities everywhere. They use a special fog sanitization to effectively sanitize against the coronavirus. Maximize the productivity of your staff with peace of mind. You'll know you've taken precautions to provide a healthy work environment. Millhouse's sanitization fogging is the same process recently adopted by the major airlines. It filters the air with a 3-stage HEPA filtration system and uses a hospital-grade EPA-registered solution for fogging. Unlike other processes, their solution doesn't use bleach or leave a toxic residue. Their sanitizing fog combats contaminants in the air and on hard, soft, and porous surfaces. To sanitize the air against coronavirus and other contaminants in your office, call Millhouse Engineering right now for a consultation at 855-621-0001. That's 855-621-0001 or millhouseinc.com.
From hard-working
I'm on TV.
to bewitching,
My wish is your command. Donald, isn't that marvelous?
the women of Antenna TV do it all. Watch on 9.2 or check your cable listings.
3 hours in prime time. Digital all the time. Unbiased every time. Coming September 1st, 7 nights a week. Watch News Nation on WGN America. It's your news, your nation.
Ben Bradley joins us from the WGN TV newsroom, and Anna Duvlantis joins us from parts unknown on the Super Celebrity Satellite, as we've all been doing this through the COVID. Hey, Anna, through the COVID-19 pandemic here. And it was announced today that longtime NBC5 anchor and reporter Dick Johnson has died. And he told viewers on social media that he had a pre-existing condition, and therefore he, along with the news management at NBC5, decided it was probably best that he go, and he isolated himself up in northern Michigan, where I know, for decades he had been going. I believe he had a home up there, and then succumbed to a respiratory illness, it says. They're not being more specific than that. I want to play one clip, though, from Dick Johnson, who was 66 years old. I mean, that is, still very young and very vital, and working at NBC5 until the outbreak here. And I want to play this because I think this is a great way to remember him. He talked about when he came to Chicago, again, as a young guy, what made broadcasting and reporting in Chicago different than other places.
And all of them have a unique passion for going for the truth and for getting inside someone's head to tell their story. I think the greatest thing that we do as reporters here who've been here a long time is tell a person's story well. And in TV, we not only tell the story, we take you to the story. If you missed the gas explosion in the southwest suburbs, or if some other story that's a little more visual, my feeling is our challenge is to make you experience that story as if you were standing there when it happened. So not only the visuals, but also get inside someone's head and have them tell the story to you, and you recreate it for TV.
So, Anna, I'll start with you because you worked with them at NBC5 for a number of years, and what are your memories?
Well, so Dick and I joined NBC5 about the same time, early 2000s, but in totally different circumstances. I was newbie to this market, even though I'm from Chicago. It was, I was nervous, and coming home to my hometown to broadcast is never. It's a difficult time. It's an exciting time, but it was difficult. He was coming over as a established newsman from Channel 7 and been there 20 years before that, and was just, he had that booming broadcaster voice and that professionalism, and the guy who could handle anything, kind of the unflappable type. And he would have been intimidating had it not been for Dick Johnson's warmth, his ability to sort of just, the people coming up in the newsroom. He was so kind, and it just made you feel welcome. And he was a mentor in a lot of ways. And I've heard so many other people saying it today. He's one of those fixtures in the newsroom who did his job well, but then also cared about the people around him and the people coming up in the business. And he had kind words and a warm smile and a sense of humor that would make you just feel, so comfortable. I just remember that. I was kind of intimidated by him at first, and it quickly just went away because of the way he was. So sad. 66 isn't the right number. It's not.
No. Ben?
So, Dick and I, whenever we would see each other out on the street, years and years, we would say, I'd say, "Thanks, Dick, I appreciate it." And the reason was it was his decision to leave Channel 7 to go over to Channel 5 that created the opening that I was hired for. And so, the running joke between us over the years was, I owed him my job because he created the rare opening at Channel 7 for me to go over there. And everything Anna said is right. Just the warmth, the kindness, the wicked sense of humor. He, a lot of people, they see somebody like Dick on TV and they think, oh, there's a straight news guy, and he's, sometimes on TV we all look a little one-dimensional, right? But people might not realize the guy could act, and he had a wonderful sense of humor. And I learned that even more so this winter, when he was involved, we were both involved in a community theater production, which is not my area of expertise. Wow. But Dick, for years and years and years, had worked with Chuck Gowdy's wife, Terry, and many other people out in the suburbs to do an every other year production that benefited the Community House, which is a great place in Hinsdale that, it's really like a community center. And this production that they would do, it was locally written, locally choreographed, all volunteers, people like Dick and Terry Gowdy and so many others. And this year they asked me to have a little bit role in it. And so I'm sitting there in these rehearsals and I thought, oh my gosh, Dick can sing. and he's so funny. And he had the starring role this year. And at one point he even tripped a little bit on the stage and showed up the next day for, I think it was opening night, with a cane. But the show went on, and he still did it. And it showed me what a multidimensional guy he was, and the fact that he would devote, 40 hours a week after his day job to be a part of this production that it was the single biggest fundraiser for this local community organization.
And Anna, as you know, being the weekend anchor at NBC5, in some cases garners you more fans than being a weekday anchor at some of the other television stations in town. I shall not mention them, but I think we can think of them off the top of our head because there's so many, especially people in that advertising demo that is so important, that are watching on Saturday night before Saturday Night Live, or the lead into that, or on Sunday nights after Sunday Night Football, or the other things that NBC would have on Sunday nights prior to that.
You'd have like the Derby. We'd pick it up after or before, all kinds of sporting events and things like that. And you're right, there was a huge audience, and sometimes